business. My name is Vin from the Google Ads team, and I'll be kicking off things by focusing on Google Ads policy before we move on to Google Play. In my current role, I work with developers like you to help you grow your apps, and a key part of that growth is making sure your ad campaigns run without any issues. While policies can sometimes seem complex, my goal today is to simplify the most important ones for you, to show how they are designed to help you succeed. Let's get started. All right, let me quickly walk you through our plan for this section. First, I will start with the fundamentals, the main reasons why an ads account might get suspended. From there, we'll dive deeper into the specifics, looking at two major categories, egregious and repeat violations, along with other key violation types. And most importantly, we'll wrap up by walking you through the appeal process so you know exactly what to do if you ever face this situation. Let's jump right in the first part, overview. We at Google want to support a healthy digital advertising ecosystem that is trustworthy, transparent, and works for users and advertisers. Advertiser actions that put our users, Google, or our partners at risk can lead to an account suspension from using Google Ads. This is important for us to maintain a healthy and sustainable digital advertising ecosystem with users' protection at its core. If we detect violations of our egregious policies, terms, and conditions, your account will be suspended immediately without prior warning. For repeat violations that lead to account suspension, we'll send you a warning to outline the nature of the policy and any action that can be taken in order to comply. This notification will be sent at least 7 days before a suspension action. The account may also be temporarily suspended for the following reasons. First, billing and payment requirements. Regarding payment and billing, your account may be suspended for one of the following reasons: promotional code abuse, requesting a chargeback, suspicious payment activity, or unpaid balance. Second, Google Ads policy requirements. We take legal requirements and the safety of users very seriously. Advertiser actions that put our users, Google, or partner at risk can lead to an account suspension from using Google Ads. Third, unauthorized account activity. An unauthorized user can steal credentials and access your Google Ads account without your permission. If we detect that an unauthorized user is trying to access your Google Ads account, we will temporarily suspend your account to protect against unauthorized charges. Next, age requirement on your Google accounts. When creating a Google Ad account, you should provide your own age, not the age of your business. If we find out that you are violating the age requirements on Google accounts, we will also suspend your account. Finally, ad grant policy requirement. Your Google Ad account, grant account can be suspended for not complying with the grant policy. Next, we'll dive deeper into the specifics, looking at two major categories, egregious and repeat violations, along with other key violation types. Let's talk about repeat and egregious violations. For repeat violations that lead to account suspension, we'll send you a warning to outline the nature of the policy violation and any action that can be taken in order to comply. This notification will be sent at least 7 days before suspension action. Strikes are issued to your Google Ads account when you repeatedly violate certain Google Ads policy. What happens if you get a strike? A strike is issued when your Google Ads account via email or an in-account notification when your access or ads violate a Google Ads policy multiple times. An account can receive a maximum of 1 warning and 3 strikes per policy violation. For the first strike, your account will be temporarily put on hold for 3 days. Second strike, if you violate the same policy again within 90 days of the first strike, your account will be temporarily put on hold for 7 days. Third strike, if you violate the same policy within 90 days of the second strike, your account will be suspended. How will advertisers be notified for account suspension? Advertisers whose account are suspended will receive an in-account and an email notification. The email notification will identify on policies the advertisers has been suspended for violating and link to submit an appeal. If you suspend your account, on ads in the suspended account will also stop running. You will no longer be able to advertise from your suspended account until the account is reinstated. Do account suspensions apply globally? Yes, on Google Ads account, irrespective of location, may be subject to account suspensions if found to be violation of policies. Suspended accounts are prohibited from serving and showing ads in on locations. How long is the Google Ads account suspended for? Once the Google Ads account is suspended, this is considered permanent unless the appeal is submitted and the account is successfully reinstated. All advertisers have at least 6 months from the date of account suspension to submit an appeal. What is egregious policy violation? An egregious violation of the Google Ads policies is a violation so serious that is unlawful or poses significant harm to our users or our digital advertising ecosystem. Egregious violations often reflect that the advertiser's overall business does not adhere to Google Ads policies, or that one violation is so severe that we cannot risk the future exposure of our users. What happens if an egregious violation detected? If we detect an egregious violation, we will suspend your Google Ads account immediately without prior warning. You will not be allowed to advertise with us again. Here are some examples of egregious policy violations, such as circumventing system, coordinated deceptive practices, counterfeit, malicious software, and etc. Moving on to the suspension impact. First, your ads will stop running. Once an account is suspended, on ads in that account immediately stop running. Advertising ban. You will no longer be able to advertise from your suspended account until it is successfully reinstated. Related accounts. Accounts related to a suspended account may also be suspended. Any new accounts an advertisers try to create after a suspension may also be suspended. It is highly recommended to reinstate all of the suspended ad accounts first before attempting to create new ones. Account access. Suspended accounts are generally in read-only mode with some exceptions. Advertisers still can access their account, view associated reports, access account settings to cancel account or claim refunds, access billing options to make payment, download text document, and add a payment method, access appeal and verification options to appeal the suspension or complete the advertiser's verification, update security settings within a Google Ads account, or navigate to any page and read information or download reports. Here are some key violation types we have. First is the circumventing system policy, which is considered an egregious violation. Egregious violations are so serious that they are unlawful or pose significant harm to users or the digital advertising ecosystem. Such violations lead to immediate account suspension without prior warning. If an egregious violation detected, the advertiser may not be allowed to advertise with Google Ads again unless appeal successfully prove an error was made. There are 3 common types of circumventing system: multiple account abuse, billing and payment suspension, and locking. Going into multiple account abuse. This is a specific form of circumventing system. It means you cannot create multiple Google Ads account after initial suspension, or try to bypass a Google Ads policy, or continue show content that breaks the rules. Why it's not allowed? It can be harmful because we want to create a safe and positive experience for our users. and attempting to use multiple accounts to get around those policies is not allowed. Here are some of the best practices for you to consider. First, limit bulk accounts creation. Avoid creating a lot of accounts in a short period of time, including using different email addresses to open the accounts. Second, connect accounts to real businesses. If you have multiple advertising accounts, make sure each account is connected to a real business. Third, use trusted payment methods. If you have multiple advertising accounts, make sure each account uses a safe payment method. Fourth, resolve suspensions. If you connected to other accounts that have been suspended, those suspensions need to be successfully reinstated through the appeal process. And finally, if you work with an agency, check with your agency or someone who manages your account. Reach out to them about the suspension. Moving on to the billing and payment suspension. Billing and payment requirement can lead to account suspension. This include unpaid balance or concerns about future payment, requesting a chargeback, promotional code abuse, or suspicious payment activity. Example, using a stolen credit card numbers to pay for Google Ads, using someone else's identity to apply for a monthly invoice terms, or suspicious sites such as the sudden use of several new credit cards, uh, frequent payment declines or chargebacks, and unclear credit card ownership or billing details. Why it's not allowed? It could be a site fraud. Google Ads want to protect you and your customer from scams and unauthorized charges. It can be connected to other harmful activities. Suspicious payments can be a sign of other things that break the rules, like creating fake accounts or trying to trick people with misleading ads. Here are some of the best practices. First, use a valid payment method. Make sure you're using a payment method that you owe or have permission to use. Second, it's very important you complete a verification. If asked, complete advertisers verification and payment verification. Moving on to the last policy violation, clocking. Example of the gaming clocking include showing Google a landing page on ads destination that complies with Google Ads policies while showing people different content. Example, showing a sale of a clothing to Google when the website sells guns. Tricking people to click into your ad by promoting a topic they're interested in and then lead them to a side website for an entirely different topic while hiding this inconsistency from Google and its crawlers. Why it's not allowed? It's very misleading. The user might be see unexpected content that isn't allowed by Google Ads on your destination, which can be frustrating for them. It can hide problems. Blocking can be used to hide content that isn't allowed under Google Ads policy. And here are some of the best practices. First, show policy compliant content. Make sure you're not sending people to websites or content that violate Google Ads policy while showing Google something different. Second, allow easy access. Make sure Google can easily see all the pages on your website for developer Google Common Crawlers. Third, use certified click trackers. If you only use a click tracker, make sure you use one that's certified by Google. And last but not least, do a security check. Website can be hacked and clock-in content can be added without you knowing. You can use a safe browsing tool to check if your website is safe. That might not catch everything, but it's a good place to start. And last but not least, the appeal process and some tips for you. If you have a suspension and you believe there has been an error and you haven't violated Google Ads policy, you can submit an appeal. How to appeal? In your Google Ads account, click into the Contact Us link in the notification at the top of your screen. This will direct you to the appeal form. While completing the form, relevant policy information will appear to help you understand the reason for the suspension and the appeal process. For the appeal process, Google aims to review the appeals within 5 business days, but complex cases may take longer. Submitting one appeal at a time to ensure a timely response and a review. If your appeal is rejected, you might reappeal following the same process. Accounts are only reinstated in compelling circumstances, such as in the case of a mistake. And that is the Google Ads policy. And moving on, please welcome to Moon for the Google Play policy part.
Thanks, Vin. Hello, everyone. My name is Moon. I'm from the Trust and Safety Play Regional Ops based out of the Singapore office. For those of you who I have met already, nice meeting you again. And for those of you who I haven't met, nice to meet you. Today, I'll walk you through these Google Play policy related contents. Next slide. So starting off with policy refresher. So I'll be mostly focusing on the context of our current recurring violations that we see a lot in the market, and also some of these high-risk developer account bans that a lot of the developers have been getting these days. So I know there's a lot of questions on this, so I hope I can address some of these. And also, I'll be spending some time on sharing some helpful resources and some key dates and how we update our policies. And last but not least, I'll spend majority of time, hopefully, on Q&A so that I can address any of the questions that I may not go through during this session today. Okay, moving on. Policy refresher. So before I jump into the specific policies, I just wanted to briefly touch upon these key stats. So last year itself, we've prevented 2.36 million policy violating apps from being published, along with 158,000 bad developer accounts banned, and also 1.3 million apps prevented 1.3 million apps from getting excessive and unnecessary access to sensitive user data. So this is the scale of our operations and how we've been putting more rigors and more scrutinies in terms of protecting our users and making our ecosystem healthy. The major reason of us doing this is mainly because of the quality. So I know since last year, you guys must have heard about a lot of these quality issues, and I know like many of these are coming out from the app publishing and app development side of the work, but I wanted to focus on the policy today, right? So there is definitely very important one of the pillars of constituting what we define as quality under policy. So in our point of view, a healthier ecosystem with sustainable user base and growth is a very, very important concept and theme that we are pursuing at the moment. I know I think I've shared this before in my previous webinar, but Google Play has been seeing a lot of user churn, and one of the reasons that we identified was because of the low quality of apps and games on our store. And why does quality matter, right? So first, of course, user satisfaction. It really has a deep root cause and the relationship with the user satisfaction. So imagine user downloads your app, but it's low quality, just full of ads, and it might be even deceptive, right? And user uh, satisfaction will drop immediately, and then you're just gonna, um, you know, uh, uninstall your app right away, right? So all this user satisfaction is the key and fundamental of everything. And second, app downloads as well. And we understand that users are more likely to download an app that's high quality. That's a very clear analysis and understanding that we have. And as I said, retention, right? You're just gonna uninstall your app as soon as they find out that this is just full of ads. It's not gonna help out. And last but not least, app security. Yes, this is very important because we want apps to have less security vulnerabilities so that our users are protected whenever they use apps and games downloaded from Google Play. So considering these four, some of the main policy areas that we're seeing that's impacting the quality, and we've been raising the bars in terms of enforcement is first minimum functionality, which is same as the broken functionality, right? And second, deceptive behavior. So this is more of a publishing an app that's not even possible. All this GPU booster, phone battery booster apps, sort of things. And third, impersonation. So we don't want any any developers that have created their own intellectual property to be infringed or impersonated, right? And we don't want our users to download apps and games that they think it was an original content, and found out that it was a fake app after downloading, right? So it's a big user satisfaction related policy. And fourth, repetitive content. So this is more of a spam. So we don't want developers to just create and publish the same app and games just with slight changes of like colors, skins, and some characters, right? And then keep spamming our store. That's gonna prohibit our users' searchability or any other developer app's visibility on the store, and we don't want that to happen. And last but not least, I know like all of you who've joined here must be using either ads to promote your app for better user acquisition or even monetize through ads, right? So we do consider these ads as one of the main pillars of that's impacting our quality, our definition of quality. So I'm gonna go through some of these in more details in the later slides, but I just wanted to have a better context set up before I jump in. Okay, moving on to the next slide. So, so this is a new concept that I wanted to explain our types of violations to you guys. So this is, and I would say, the most prominent policy pain points for ads partners these days that I've seen ever since we've uplifted the bars of enforcement. So number one, up top, it's basically the most common rejection slash warning worth of violations. And second, it's app suspension, so it's more serious violations, and also how we lead to account bans. So I'm gonna talk little one by one each, and also add in some of the policy specific illustrations to give you an overview, overall idea of how these different types of enforcements are happening. So first, multiple warnings and app rejections. So for minor policy enforcement, I would say things that we see most commonly and the things that we think you might have mistakenly made an error, or you might not be aware of these certain policies, or sometimes it's not your real life. Sometimes it could be an ad SK issue that your app is displaying some bad apps, right? So in most cases, we will be issuing warnings, or we'll be just rejecting new submissions, and we'll let you know that, hey, there's an issue on your app or game, so please go ahead and fix it, unless if it's not super egregious, right? However, what I wanted to highlight today is that even all the small violations minor violations relatively. If they get piled up and if we see repetitive rejections and warnings over and over again, we can also move into either app removal or more serious ones, even app suspensions, because we we believe that this repetitive violations over time it's clearly intentional, and you don't respect our policies, right? And we don't want to, we for every submissions we're reviewing the apps, and we're also putting our resources into it. So if you don't respect our policies, right, and we're not going to review them again, and we're just going to keep suspended without any warnings. But consider these like previous warnings and rejections as some sort of a signal, right? And please don't neglect them, right? So that's the key point I wanted to highlight here. So some of the key policies that I've seen a lot these days. So as I mentioned, broken functionalities, right? So make sure you check every functions of your app is working, as intended. And second, misleading claims. We're seeing this a lot. So this is mostly happening. So I'm looking at this second part here, misleading claims. So this is mostly happening from mismatch of your app description versus what's actually provided in your app. So if you say this certain feature is available on your app, but you haven't implemented yet, please do not write that in the store listing. Or if you have like a mock-up screenshot of, hey, this is what my app looks like, but in fact you don't have that yet in your app, but you do have a plan to implement that maybe next quarter or so, then please do not use the screen, because users will see those screens and then they will be downloading apps and games based on those descriptions and screenshots. But in fact, if users go in and check, and if they don't see the feature they were expecting, that's a misleading claim, and that's a policy violation. And number three, login credential. This has been just number one policy violations for many, many years now. And we still do see a lot of violations on this. And I've seen so many apps are getting even suspended because they keep failing to provide login credentials over and over again. So even if they get rejection, they don't fix it and they just keep resubmitting it and get rejected again and again. And as I said, our review team just suspends the app because we see that there's no will from the developer to fix this issue. And without unlocking some of the hidden contents behind the login wall, we're not going to be able to review thoroughly what's actually happening on your app or game, right? So this is really needed. And number four, user data, privacy policy permission. I know this is a big area, but just keep it simple. Just only access to data, user data that you really require. And when you do access your data, be transparent, and write that down clearly why you need it and how you're going to utilize it in your privacy policy. And number three, just use the right permission. You don't need to use certain permissions to perform certain features, right? So please do study on these permissions and only use whatever is needed. The next one, deceptive ads. We are seeing this a lot these days. So we are seeing both in-app and Google ads, or even in other platforms like Meta, Instagram, or anywhere else that these deceptive ads are happening. And we are looking into this as well. So deceptive ads is very simple, right? You're basically want to trick users to click on your ads to lead them to Play Store or anywhere in the App Store to download your apps. So that's a big no-no. And lastly, better ads experience. I do have some screenshots and illustrations in the next slides to cover a little bit more deeply on this. So deceptive ads, as I mentioned, ads that mimic system notification could be one example. But there are a bunch of other examples that you can find out using this QR code. Any inappropriate ads. We're seeing a lot of these days. So this is just a generic description, but long story short, please set your ads in your ads console, the SDK console, whatever, so that whatever the ads that gets displayed within your app matches just the age ratings of your app. So, for example, you're running an app that is suitable for kids. So this is a game for kids, but we don't want an ad that's basically mature or for adults, right? So if you're running an app or game that's for kids, only an ad suitable for kids should be displayed. Better ads experience, yes. I know it's another long topic to discuss, but a few examples. So first, unexpected static ad appearing during gameplay at the beginning of a level. So I know most of you should be already well familiar, but long story short again, an ad, the interstitial ad, should appear at the end of the gameplay or at the end of the content if you're running an ad, right? And if there's no end to a certain game that you're running, then you should consider implementing certain stop in between so that you can properly display interstitial ads during the gameplay, which is are allowed exceptions. So please do check into our policy centers for more details. I think it's the same thing that I just talked about. Yeah, so this is another example. So if you implement it on ads properly, however, if it doesn't offer a user option to skip or close within 15 seconds, that's another violation. And we are seeing this a lot these days as well. And so yeah, just to summarize on this multiple warnings and rejections. So a few tips, right? First, read your rejection email and play console notifications very, very carefully. So for every rejections and warning, we'll be issuing an email, right? And then we'll be also notifying a message on console. So please do check and please don't neglect and keep submitting it without fixing or addressing those issues. If you think that we made an error, please file an appeal and get that clarified before you keep submitting it. Keep submitting it and keep rejected, as I said, may result into app suspension. Second, review your usage of SDKs and permissions. It's very important because you believe that you're not using certain permission, but in fact, you're using one of the SDKs, third-party SDKs, and that SDKs may be accessing user data, sensitive user data that you might not aware, and you have not put it in your privacy policy or haven't placed any prominent disclosures. In which case, that's also considered as violation from our point of view. So please check your SDKs and what permissions and user data they're accessing to. Third, reach out to your account managers from Google if you need further help from Play. So I know there are external channels like appeals that you can reach out to, but in case you're not getting the right response or any response getting delayed, your Google account managers can also file internal escalations to our team, and then we can obviously prioritize those cases for you guys. And number four, as I said, appeal directly to us if you don't agree with our decisions. And last but not least, as I said, just don't send in multiple submissions in a row without addressing the issue. This will suspend your app. So please I hope you remember this. Okay, next, moving on to the app suspension. So as I said, repetitive minor violations can lead to suspensions, and also some of these major violations, so more egregious ones, can also lead to app suspension, even without the warnings. So we can take a closer look at some of these examples. So first of all, deceptive behavior. So this is very common violations these days. So some examples would be, so in this illustrative example, I put breath analyzer of after you drink. So, and from our engineering point of view, at modern technology, this sort of features cannot. It's basically impossible function or impossible feature. As I said, like GPU booster, phone battery booster, like mosquito repellent. Some of these very creative ideas, and also sometimes developers claim that they're prank apps, but we don't allow these sort of deceptive or impossible functionality apps on our store. And there are a lot of bad user reviews and comments on these apps. So they think that this was possible and they download it and they still think that it's possible. But once they get in, they just get bombarded with excessive ads, right? And this is a very, very egregious violation from our point of view, and that's hitting our quality, our objective of making our store with high quality apps, right? So we're gonna suspend those apps immediately if we find any of these. So please do not publish these apps. And if you are publishing these apps, please consider to rebrand it or even unpublish it right away, because that's gonna get suspended and this will count as a strike under your account. And second, all this malware, dangerous downloads. So this is very another significant violation that we're seeing, another trend these days, that this especially from ads. So whenever we've seen these ads that when user clicks on this ad, an APK download from a third-party store or just a third-party APK without even store hosting starts. So that's another very serious violation that we can suspend your app immediately. But given some considerations that this could be from some as SDK issues, we are actually issuing some warnings. But if we see any intentional behaviors on this, we can proceed with the app suspension immediately. So please choose wisely which SDK you use, and please do not go too adventurous with these ads formats that these ads SDKs are using. And number three is pretty straightforward: nudity, sexual content, and I know like a lot of these contents are used even within ads these days to promote your apps. And as I said, we are looking into other platforms as well. And if your app on Play is using these sexual contents to promote apps on Play and to download, we are gonna look into those as one of the enforcement area as well. And last but not least, IP and copyright issues. So this is also very straightforward. Just please do not use IP that you do not own. That's very simple statement. And if you do have an IP usage or proof of ownership agreement with the original IP owner, please do provide it to us. But if not, just don't use it. That's very simple. Don't use it. Yeah. Yeah. So some extra tips on copyright and IP violations. So please check this QR code, and due to the time constraints, I'm gonna skip this slide and have you to take a closer look at the QR code. And lastly, account ban. So how these account bans are happening. So this is I want to introduce two ways. So one is multiple strikes, and another one is just one single egregious policy violations. So as I think many of you are already aware that multiple strikes of suspended apps can lead to account ban. I think this is the most common scenario, yes. And as I said, multiple rejections right here can lead to app suspension, right? For example, disruptive ads violation warning 1, and next month you get another warning 2 here, and then next month you get another same disruptive warning. So this is very, very illustrative. So I'm not saying this is just three strike rule, but more or less we are considering this as 3 strike rule. And then when we see this repetitive warnings, we can actually suspend an app. The app A gets suspended, right? And if you see other apps under your account that got suspended with, for example, sexual content and copyright, yes, this counts as multiple strikes of suspensions, and we can ban your account. And whereas on the right side, you will see all this one single egregious policy violations, right? And even if it's one single strike, if it's egregious enough, for example, child safety related, malwares, ad frauds, click frauds, right? Something that's highly user safety impacting issue. Yes, we can also ban the account immediately. And then this is the most prominent topic these days, right? High risk review. So what is high risk review? So it's basically everything. So everything that I just talked about today, right? All your past violation history, including warnings and rejections, and app removal, suspensions, and even account bans of other accounts, right? That's what we call internal factors. Plus, we will also look into other external factors of your apps and accounts. So, for example, the other related accounts that you might have in the past, right? And also your current apps and account and apps activities. And also, we're gonna look into other like user reviews, ratings, and even like third-party reports on your apps and accounts. So there are a lot of third-party researchers, security researchers that we work together. And we do consider these other external factors as one of many signals that we look into to consider your app or account as high risk behavior or not. Then once it's defined as high risk, yes, we will gonna ban the account and suspend the app. And very less likely we will be accepting the appeals. So hopefully you understand this concept of the high risk app behavior. And a lot of these today has to do with the quality issue. So going back to my original slide where I talked about the top policies issues, and ads is one of the factors, right? So please do consider these factors, and even if our enforcement email, whenever we enforce with high risk behavior, is not super clear enough, consider these factors were considered when we made the enforcement decision. Okay, and then some best practices. Account level. So when you create a new account, right? Just be very consistent, truthful registration details, which matches the official business records and public persons. Don't use any fake documents, right? Once you get caught, there won't be any appeals on this. And then clear indication of account owner, and you should be working with reputable, trustworthy agencies to lower risk of enforcement due to this mutual account association. We've seen a lot of these cases, right? And as I said, don't use false placeholder or misleading registration information, and don't purchase, these accounts from black market or sell accounts or rent, your developer accounts. I know it used to be a lot easier, but not anymore. And then another area about developer account maintenance and security, your account security. So maintain your credentials securely, right? And revoke any access promptly for former steps, right? And prioritize minimizing app rejections, suspensions, as I said, because they would pile up and then act as one of the signals that could impact your account status, right? And then comply with the content policy guidelines, as well as the intellectual property rights. And again, don't manipulate user reviews. We are actually seeing these as well. And this also acts as one of the signals, whether not just the pure user review itself, but we will be reviewing whether you've manipulated your user reviews and ratings. At app level, as I said, publish high quality apps and deliver unique value. That's the main idea, right? So your app has to have unique value proposition compared to other apps. Just don't copy or keep publishing repetitive apps. And second, ensure associated web links are working fine. Your privacy policy, your web page, your company introduction, websites, right? We are looking into those as well. And then Play Store description, as I said, should be very clear, concise, and straightforward, and don't put any functionalities that's not even possible. And yeah, those are pretty much the few tips on the app level. And lastly, this accurate promotional materials and respect privacy. So this is more related to the app functionalities, right? And also some of these permissions that I've talked about. And appealing for account ban. These are some of the bullet points that should be included in the ban appeal, because sometimes we do make mistakes, and we can also have some room for leniency, but not a lot, to be honest. Especially these days with this high risk bans, we're seeing less and less chances of these banned account getting reinstated. But still, when you do appeal, please include this information instead of emotional plea or irrelevant information, right? And some helpful resources and key dates. We are making 3 policy updates, like bundle a year. So first one we had it in April, and we just had another second bundle update in July, early July, and last one will be in end of Q3 or early Q4 ish. And we are hosting policy webinars. So many of you should have already gotten invitations. So it's happening next week. So please tune into the policy webinar. I'll be more deep diving into these policy updates rather than this policy account suspension issues. But today I wanted to more focus on app suspensions and account ban issues. And yeah, this is where you can get our updates on Policy Bytes. And as I said, this is the policy webinar link. So for our region, you should be tuning into this Southeast Asia ANZ region, the third one. So please do take a note and use this link to join. And some of these key resources available for your help. And that's the content for today, and we can move on to the Q&A now. Okay, first question. Can you have more than one Play account? Yes. So for Play, we don't limit the number of accounts that you manage. So it's up to you to manage how many different accounts. But it's our recommendation is just to maintain one account for one company. But there's no limitation. But more accounts you have, more resources and extra effort to be put in will be required, because there will be, for example, a lot of declarations and new policy updates that you have to follow up per each account moving forward, and you would have to basically maintain X number of accounts that you have, and that amount of effort gets double, triple, and quadruple, depending on how many accounts you have. So hopefully this answers your question. Next one, please. I want to know about impersonation policy in detail. So I think I discussed about this, but long story short, think of impersonation as our Play policy team's proactive enforcement to protect IP, intellectual properties of other developers on our store. So we'll be looking into your app icons, app titles, and gameplay, some visuals, characters, right? And also on apps as well. How similar these are with existing developers IP. Whereas IP infringement is more reactive for us. So we rely on original IP owners. This DMCA reports to us, and then we take this reactive action on those IP infringement. But impersonation is something that we take more proactive approach. Hopefully that this is what you're looking for. Next one, please. What is this honest declaration policy violation? So this is dishonest behavior is actually the right policy, and this is under the deceptive behavior. And I think I talked about a lot during this meeting, but just to summarize it, so basically, mostly impossible functionalities is something that we're seeing most commonly these days. So you should be only promising users of certain features and functions that are possible, like technically feasible, right? And even within your app, you should be only promising to the users, as I said, on the app description or screenshots that you already have in place. Don't overpromise users with features or functions that's not even possible or not even ready yet. So I'll keep it that way. Those are simple ones. Next one, please. How to prevent from rejections? I mean, there are a lot of different types of rejections. So as I said, just read our emails, notifications, study our policies. You should know our policies, right? So, and I'll be talking more about these days common rejection scenarios in our upcoming webinar in next week. So that will be hosted by not the ads team here, but we're going to be hosting, Play Team's going to be hosting on our own. So please stay tuned, and then make sure you join this webinar link through the link that I shared in previous slides. Next one. What is dishonest declaration policy? I think I discussed about this. Can Google Ads assets cause a policy violation on Google Play Console account? Yes, I would say so. So for example, if you're running an ads through Google Ads, and that Google Ads asset itself could become one of the policy trigger from Google Play's policy point of view. So technically, let's say if you had a Google Ads asset issue, that should have been caught by the Google Ads team in the first place, and that ads asset should not be in the market, like get displayed to users' screens in the first place. However, sometimes it gets slipped through, right? And that could also act as Google Play's enforcement trigger. Yes, that could be possible. Next one, please. Why can't a verified personal account be modified to an organization account if that person has registered a company now? Actually, this is possible. So go into the Play console, and there, as long as you get the DUNS number, DUNS, the DUNS number, Duns and Bradstreet, you should be able to change from personal to organization account. However, the other way around, changing from organization account to personal account is not possible because we are not technically possible to change the payment profile that's linked to this display account. So if you want to do the vice versa, if you want to change from organization to personal account, you would have to create a new account and then transfer those apps from the organization account to your new personal account. Hopefully this makes sense and helps. Next one. General question, can an identity such as Emirates ID or passports that was previously used for individual Google developer account which was later terminated for unknown reason, be used again for creating or verifying an organization developer account. Yeah, I mean, I think yes or no. Without seeing the actual reason of the account ban, I can't tell you, or I can like pre-vet for now. But you should be, I mean, like, yeah. So you should be actually start creating new account and see how our system works. If they see something that I don't see from this question, right? We might be blocking from even the account creation steps. And what I can tell you is that we've been putting more scrutinies and blockers up front. So it's gonna be we already have made the account registration and new account creation process a lot more difficult. And there's a lot more vetting processes to it because we really want to know like who you are and which apps and games you want to publish on our store. Because we noticed that we found more egregious violations are happening on this newly created account and especially on first publishing apps. So I think I've shared this in my past webinars as well, but we are putting more scrutinies up front. So it's not gonna be easy, but you should try. And if something's blocking, then our system might have detected an egregious violations from your past account, and then probably we wouldn't want you back in the ecosystem anymore. Next question, please. Which thing to consider during new account registration of Play Console? If same device and same network used but different identity, then it will impact a new account if all details are different. I can't tell you or disclose like how we are vetting or screening this, but yes, all of this would matter. In fact, there are other signals that we use, and I think it's very similar to what I just explained in my previous question. So I think we can move on. Next, I think this is very unclear question. We can move on to the next one. Why does account termination sometimes happen without prior notice or clear explanation of the specific violation? Wouldn't it be more reasonable and transparent to provide detailed warning or remediation path before taking such a drastic action? I think I exactly explained why we are doing these actions during my presentation. So hopefully my presentation helped out. But as I said, we are issuing warnings for minor violations, non-egregious ones. But for any high risk behaviors or highly egregious violations, I don't think we will ever issue warning because users are getting impacted at the moment, and there's no point of us issuing warnings to you while like millions of users are getting impacted at the moment. So hopefully this makes sense. Move on to the next one. Why Google terminates an account without any prior warning and without telling the reason? Actually, we are telling the reason, but as I said, we are putting in more like deceptive behavior or high risk behavior upfront. But hopefully, my explanation today during the presentation answers this question. Yeah, I think we can move on to the next one. How to mature new Play account? Why terminate new Play Console account? Especially in Pakistan without any reason. I think this is also a very repetitive question. Maturing new Play account, I think this is more business related question, which I cannot answer. But on terminating, so we're not terminating more accounts in Pakistan. I mean, like that's so everything is business on as usual. So we're not adding more scrutinies in certain markets. So we're using the same set of rules, enforcement guidelines across different markets, and maybe you're seeing more bans in your country, maybe within your ecosystem. But what I can tell you for sure is that we're not like specifically targeting Pakistan here. So it's across every country's. Yeah. Next one, please. Why there is no clear reason why play terminates account. Okay. So from next onward, we make sure we don't make such mistake. I think we are providing already enough warnings and chances for you to not to make these sort of mistakes again. And as I said, for certain violations, like egregious ones, like sometimes warnings don't even make sense because, as I said, like we're here to protect the users and also other developers, IP copyrights, trademarks as well, right? So warnings, yes, we will issue warnings for those violations if we think that it's not super egregious or we think that these violations were made unintentionally. But any intentional violations that we know, like let's say if you had same violations in your previous account, related account, we can see, right? And if you're making the same violation again in the new account under this new app, we will treat this as repetitive violations as well. So please don't treat that as like, oh, it's my new account, new app, but I'm getting like suspended within one strike, right? Because as I said, this could be under high risk behavior. And if certain conditions are met, we will proceed with the direct enforcement. Yeah, move on to the next one, please. Yeah, more strict regarding, okay, due to the time constraints, I'm gonna skip reading through. Yeah, I think I've explained exactly what you just asked for during my presentation. One thing I want to highlight is that I mean I think you are seeing the higher bars that we raised in terms of policy enforcement, like, and we are banning more and more accounts. And I want you to know that this is like a clear signal that we are working our best to uplift the quality of apps and games on our store. And one of the pillars that we're working on is policy, as I said. And there will be more and more enforcement. I can tell you for sure. So if you are doing all this risky behavior, please stop. Because as I said, like, even if you appeal on these risky behaviors, like excessive ads, impacting user experience with low quality apps, right? This will impact not just on your app, but the entire account. And we're not going to grant any appeals. So I can tell that for sure. And as I said, like going back to my original slide, we're doing this to protect our users and uplift our Play Store's overall ecosystem's health. So hope you understand. Next one. Am I not able to publish my app on? Okay, I think this is somewhat vague question, but I think my explanation in my previous questions and slides helped. Next one, please. If I have some features locked in my app, but by subscription screen, then how can I give you unlinked version, as I will only upload one bundle that the users will use? Is this, I think this is talking about the maybe account login credential issue. This is very unclear. So if you want to pass this to your account manager or whatever, I can take a follow up and explain. Or if you have any current warning or rejection issue or app removal, just please consult to our appeal team, because without seeing the actual issue, it's hard for me to tell you the exact solution here. Next one, please. Can phone cleaner app also come under deceptive behavior app, as if you are using real functionalities like really helping users to clean chunks, remove virus by. Oh no, I mean depends. If it's like functionally technically possible, it should be okay. But I've seen a lot of phone cleaner apps with a lot of different functionality that's not possible. And in many of these utility apps, we are seeing just so many excessive ads issues, and along with this inappropriate ads, and some of deceptive behavior. So those itself could become high risk behavior, right? So that's why we could have taken a lot, I would say, severe actions on these apps. But yeah, if your app does have some features that you don't even know if it's possible or not, like technically feasible or not, please reconsider, and please get rid of those impossible functionalities out of your utility app. Yeah. Hopefully this makes sense. Next one. What are the top egregious policy violations that we should prioritize and avoid at all costs? I think I talked a few things, right? That constitutes as this high quality apps. Broken functionality, and all these ads policy violations, anything that has to do with ads, right? And then deceptive behavior, and what else there was? Impersonations / IP infringement, right? And then repetitive content. So we don't want these spammy contents on our store. So hopefully, like those are the top ones that we'll be looking into when it gets into like quality issues. So I mean, like above all, especially for you guys who are here, ads related violations are the top most concerning one, to be honest. So hopefully this addresses your question. Next one, please. I know we're at over time, but I can go a little more, as long as you guys, can stay, because I want to address as many questions as possible. Okay, so why does a single app violation result in suspension of the entire Google Play developer account? As I said, it could be egregious violation, right? And it's not like baseball, like we're playing 3 strike, you're out, right? So it could be just 1 strike, you could be out. And if it's a repetitive violation from like the other account, and even on the same account, you're seeing same violation happening in this app and within that, the other app, we can consider those as repetitive. And then, even with one single like strike, we can continue with the account suspension. And also, most importantly, if that behavior itself is considered as high risk behavior, we're gonna get rid of the entire account. That's very clear direction that we're heading to, and we've been enforcing. And hopefully, my explanation today helps. Next one, please. Okay, can we receive IAP payments in another account other than the personal or company owns the account? I don't think so. I think one of the purposes of doing this ID verification is first for us to know who you are, and we'd also have to link those pay account with the payments, the merchant profile in the back end. So I don't think if this is a question that you should ask to the developer console support team, so they should be better address this question. But as far as I know, this is not possible because it has to be matched. Yeah. Next one, please. Oh, I think that was the last question that we had. Thank you everyone for joining the session today. And hopefully I did address those questions that you guys had for today. And yeah, hope you find it informative and useful. And we do have some Shreks, Google Shreks for several lucky draw participants. So please do scan this QR code or use this link to submit the feedback form for us. Your feedback really matters, so that we can also listen to how you think, and for us to find out any improvements that we can make. So yeah, so this is a Shrek that I think the Apps Academy team has prepared. So it's I think Tumblr or the Google Shrek. So yeah, thank you so much, and hope I can see you in my policy webinar happening next week. So please, if you got invitations, please do sign up. If not, you can use the link that I shared in my previous slides, and you can also sign up using those links as well. So hope I can see you all there. And thank you, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.